kind of regret a little bit buying this car. It's stiff, it's hard to go in and out of the car. Yeah, there are a lot of things I actually don't like about this car. Now, many of you guys have been asking me why did I choose to buy a BMW G20 LCI 3 Series. This one is specifically the 320i model. A lot of you guys asked me in the comment section, why did I go for the 32i instead of the 330 or for the M340i? And also, why did I get a 3 Series instead of other cars right out there? Because this car, the price, you can buy a lot of other cool cars out there. As I have admitted, even in the second-hand market, there are a lot of nice cars to buy within this budget, but I still decided to go for this car. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys my 2 months ownership. Yeah, it's already been 2 months and I've already done about 5,000 kilometers on this car. Yes, this car is no garage queen. I literally take this car to go to every places I could and I absolutely love it. But there are also things which I absolutely hate. So yeah, in today's video, I'm going to go through as an ownership what I love and hate about this car. Alright, let's go. Alright guys, so firstly, let me explain to you guys why did I choose to buy the 3 Series. Now, I actually already explained this in my collection video, the 3 Series collection video, but I'm just going to recap one more time. Why did I choose to buy this? Because since young, I've always been a big fan of the BMW 3 Series lineup, the E30, the E36, the E46, the E90, E92, right? The F30, and then now you got the G20. But initially when they first launched the G20 pre-LCI version, I wasn't a fan of it because I didn't like how it looks, and I didn't like how between the 320 and the 330i, you got a very big difference in terms of the front bumper, the rear bumper, and even the lights are also different. But when they first announced the LCI version, when I look at it, right, I was like, oh my god, it looks so good. And the nice point about it is the 320i and the 330i now, right, you can see it actually looks exactly the same apart from the brakes and a few different things here and there, but it's very subtle. Overall, you get the front bumper, the rear bumper, and the headlights are all the same. I was like, yes, this is the one I want to go for. Alright, now this car is not cheap. Okay, this car costs 292,000 ringgit, and yes, it's quite painful because initially I wanted to get something like a Tesla Model 3 or BYD Seal, which is around 200,000, but I was like, am I ready for EV yet? I don't think so. And since I've always been a big fan of this, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pay more for this car, and that is why you can see I'm currently having this car now, and I absolutely love this car. After owning it for 2 months and over 5,000 kilometers, that's a lot in 2 months. It's still a pinch moment for me to be able to own this car. Whenever I look at this car, I was like, wow, is it really mine? Yes, I'm proud to say this is actually my car. Whenever I bring this car, let's say I go to a mirror, right? You drive through, you look at it, I was like, wow, it looks so good. And whenever I park at a parking lot, you look back, you always keep looking back because that means you actually bought the correct car. Okay, so yeah, initially I was thinking of getting the BMW X1 as well, but then I'm still young, I didn't want to go for an SUV. Yes, even though the SUV is more comfortable, but I still prefer the very low, very sporty looks of this car, so I went ahead to proceed with this car. Alright, now in terms of the modifications I've done so far, there's nothing much, but what I've done is basically, you can see from the collection video, I've actually changed the kidney grille. So this one is initially in silver color. I actually went to go with the black color one, and you have 2 options to choose from. Either you want this vertical slats one, or you can go with the honeycomb one, which matches the bottom here, the honeycomb grille. But I didn't want that because this car is not a M340i, and I didn't want to go for that direction. And I still prefer the iconic vertical slats. It looks very aggressive. You got the active shutter right here, which opens and closes depending on whether it needs air or not. I also went with this 50th anniversary emblem, which I absolutely love. Now this one, some people love it, some people hate it, but I love it so much. Why? Because it tells a story. This is to celebrate the 50th anniversary of BMW M Motorsports, and on this color, right, it's pretty subtle. Honestly, if I get to get this car in any other color, right, darker color, I wouldn't go with this emblem because it stands out big time. But on white color, it looks not bad, right? It's pretty subtle and it's very unique. It just makes the car a little bit more me, okay? So yeah, you can see the lights as well. It's currently flickering. Yeah, you can see it looks so aggressive. Oh my god, I've not made the wrong choice, okay? So here you basically got vents here. Here also you can see you got air curtains which guides air towards the side. Now initially I wanted to go for a lower front splitter, which definitely makes the car look more aggressive, but I didn't want to because this car is my daily car. I want to make it very practical, okay? So I didn't do much modification on it as compared to my Vios. If you know my Vios, I already did a major modification to make it very aggressive, but this one I want to keep it very clean, because many of you guys also have asked me why did I go for white color, because based on my previous car I actually went for a very out there color, but this time I plan to go for a very safe and clean and classy spec. That is why I went for white color. And because my friend, right, he actually added the front splitter, and every time you go through parking lot, you'll scrape. So I didn't want to have that hassle, so I didn't went for it. Okay, so you head towards the side. Okay, so from here you can see the wheels also. Now normally I would also change the wheels, but this wheels, it actually looks very, very good. Now it's kind of dirty, it's covered with grime, but normally it would be in gloss black, and under the sun, right, once it shines, right, when it spins, it looks very, very beautiful. Okay, and then this one, the difference between the 320i and the 330i, right, from the side is the 330i actually comes with an M Sport brake kit, which basically has blue in color. If you opt for the M340i, it comes with the red color brake caliper, so that's how you differentiate it. Alright, then you got the M Sport badging here. Okay, now here as well, the side mirror, I'll be contemplating whether to go for the M Sport side mirror, because M Sport side mirror is basically in black color. You have the fin, which is iconic for the BMW M. I was like, whether should I go for it or should I just give it a very clean look? I was like, okay, you know what? I just keep it with the clean look right here. So you guys get a very nice contrast between the dark tin with the white color exterior. Alright, now you head towards the back. You can see I also didn't go for the rear spoiler. Why? Because again, I wanted to have a very, very clean look. And also, you can see now the new LCI version, right? You can see the bumper, you have a lot of black parts. You can see the way it actually sticks up from on both ends. You got this vertical pillar, and then here you got very huge diffuser in black color. So I didn't want to add an extra black color spoiler on top just to break it up apart, because it's really has a lot of dark section in the bottom already. So I want the top to be very clean. So you can see there's nothing. But one thing I love about this, right, if you look from this angle, you can see it actually has an integrated duckbill spoiler that sticks up. Yeah, it's those subtle details, that attention to details, right, that actually matters a lot to me. And then you can see at the back, you also have the 50th anniversary badge right there. If you notice, I also removed the 320i badge, not because I'm not proud to own that car, but it's because I want to have a very clean look. Just like my Vios, I removed all the emblem just to give it a very, very clean and aggressive look. Just take a look at it. The lights, it looks so aggressive, right? Yeah, I just love it so much. Okay, and then one thing about this car is compared to the M340i, right? The M340i actually comes with a powered tailgate, which means if you put your leg here, it actually detects and open up the boot. This car also does it, but this one doesn't have powered tailgate, which you have to manually close, which I find it actually okay. You know why? Because every time, let's say you're carrying your things, right? You're gonna put inside, you just put your feet, it opens up, you put your things inside, and then your hand is already empty. You can just close it. You don't have to press the button, which I feel is unnecessary. So yeah, that is why I'm actually very satisfied with this car. Now let's go out for a drive where I explain to you guys why did I go for this instead of the 330 and the M340i. Alright guys, let's just ditch the M340i for the moment, because the car is way over my budget. The car is around 70,000 more than this car alone. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's ditch that. Let's talk between the 320 and 330i. Alright? So the first difference between the 320 and 330i would definitely be the power. So both of them uses the same engine, a B48 engine. This car produces 194 horsepower and 300 Newton meters of torque, whereas the 330 produces 243 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. Now that's a huge jump. I get it. Alright, you feel tempted to go for that one, right? But for me, because previously I drive a Toyota Vios and also a CX-30, right? Jumping from that car to this car, you can actually feel a very huge gain because of the 300 Newton meters of torque. Where you press, it just goes. For me, it's enough. Unless you're previously driving a very high horsepower car, a fast car, and then you switch to this, you definitely feel underpowered. But for me, this will be enough for daily driving, because the power I need is very sufficient already. Okay, that's one. So the second difference would be the M Sport brakes. Now I've tested both the 320 and 330 side by side before I made my purchase, and guess what? I feel the difference. Both of it actually feels very similar. Yeah, so I was like, okay, never mind. Maybe I get the cheaper one, because next time in the future it's cheaper to replace the normal brakes than the M Sport brakes. That's what I thought about. And then another one would be the adaptive suspension. suspension. Alright, so this car comes with stiff springs all around, so no matter what setting you choose, comfort, sport, eco, you'll always be in a stiff suspension. Whereas for the 320, when you put to comfort, it becomes to very soft. You go to sport, it becomes very stiff, so it's adaptive. But that one, in the future long run, if it needs replacement, it also will be quite costly. But for me, I'm actually quite okay with the stiff setting, because a lot of people say this car is actually very stiff, it's hard to daily, but for me it's totally the opposite, because I drive this car for almost 5,000 kilometers already, every time long distance journey. It's actually very compliant, it's actually very comfortable, and I love the stiff suspension because it's better to corner, it feels more planted and it feels more direct. The steering, when you turn, it just goes. It doesn't like have any body roll. So yeah, I'm okay to live with forever constantly stiff spring. The next difference between the 320 and 330 would be the speakers. Now this one I kind of regret a little bit because I love listening to music. So this one, right, it uses the normal speakers, the standard speakers, whereas the 330 has a much better upgraded audio system. Because this car, right, even when I drive the CX-30, right, the audio is actually, it sounds better than this car, which is kind of a shame. And maybe in the future, once the warranty over, I'll change to a better speaker. But yeah, that's the one thing I regret. But would I pay extra 30,000-40,000 for just for that? It's like definitely no. Okay, then another thing would be the iconic sound. So this one is a feature that has in the 330, the M34i and the M3, all those also you have these iconic sounds. And what does that does, right, that feature is basically it channels artificial sound into the cabin, the exhaust sound. So when you're driving, you accelerate, it feels very loud inside, but those are just artificial. It just gives you a very good feeling, but outside people actually can't really hear it. For me, normally if I were to have it, I would also switch off the iconic sound because it's artificial, so I feel that is unnecessary. But then again, if you can afford to buy the 330 then the 320, right, by all means go for it. It's definitely a better car, but for me, it's okay to spend 30,000-40,000 less to go for this car, because like I said, right now the 320, the LCI version, its outside is almost roughly the same as compared to the pre-LCI. There are a lot of changes, so now you're basically getting the same car inside outside, but other than those 5 features that I just mentioned, the differences. So number 1 will be the power, number 2 will be the suspension, number 3 will be the brakes, number 4 will be the speakers, and number 5 will be the iconic sounds feature. Those 5 only. If you're willing to pay extra 30-40k for those 5, go ahead, it's definitely worth it. Now, the things I like and don't like about this car. So firstly, let's talk about things I don't like. Number 1 would be, obviously, okay, it's on the stiffer side, I get it, but it's acceptable. Number 2 would be the seats are actually very low to the ground, which I love, but then my passengers or my parents or elderlies, when they enter, right, it's hard for them to get in and out of the car. The egress and ingress, right, it's a bit troublesome. Yeah, that's why they actually convinced me to get an SUV. I was like, no, I'm not there yet. So yeah, I went ahead to go with this. Like, and especially let's say if you park in a tight parking spot, you want to open the door and you want to come out, right, it's a bit hard, because the car is so low, right? You need to swing your body out. Make sure you have exercise first before you can do all this. If not, you hurt your back a lot, okay? And in terms of the seat, right? The lumbar support here, so sometimes if you drive too long, right, your back starts to hurt a little bit. But this one, I noticed if you sit straight a bit, that will actually solve everything, which is nice. And also another thing I dislike is, which I already know that this would happen before I even bought the car. So before I bought the car, I already joined the BMW G20 group. And once you enter the group, right, they'll say that, welcome to the Tuk Tuk Club. I was like, wait, what does that mean? After that, I did more research, I realized that a Tuk Tuk Club means that once you buy a G20, you drive for a few days, you'll start to hear a tuk-tuk sound on the front left or front right of the wheel well. And then that's basically the tie rod. Alright, the tie rod is making sound whenever you go to uneven road surfaces. You get to hear tuk 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 sound. Alright, so this one is very common. I think 90% of a G20 owners can relate, and currently I don't think there's a way to solve it. Alright, a lot of people, they told me, right, they really changed their tie rod a few times. They really even changed the entire steering rack a few times as well, but after a while the sound still comes back. Even the BMW people also said currently, they were honest to me, it's like currently there's no solution. If you change, you can change, but it might come back in again. So hopefully, fingers crossed, in the future they will come out with something that I would actually fix it. I went online and checked, actually there's a way to actually fix it, I saw, but then it's another brand. I don't think it's authorized by BMW. So yeah, but for now, for me, luckily It's still livable. It's not very loud to the point that it's very annoying. It comes on and off every now and then. It's not very often, and it's not very annoying, so I'm okay to live with it. All right. So yeah, other than that, everything I love. Now, things I love is literally everything. They got this massive curved display. At night, you got the ambient lighting, the interior, the exterior, the boot space, the back space. The back seat is also actually quite spacious now as compared to the previous one. Okay, then a lot of feels very nice, especially the driving. All right, the driving dynamics is literally spot on. The steering is so direct. This one you can't compare with other cars like Mazda, Honda, Toyota. It really is another level. All right, BMW, Mercedes, the German brands. And yeah, that's about it, guys, for my ownership review of my very own 2024 BMW G20 LCI M Sport, specifically the 320, not the 330 or M34i. You guys now know why, and also the things I love and hate about this car. It's still a pinch moment calling this car my very own car because yeah, I still can't believe it's actually mine. All right, now a lot of people say, right, why did you buy this car? It's so expensive for such a young age. But it really depends on how you really think, because a lot of people say don't buy cars because they are depreciating asset, but it really depends on your perspective on how you think about it. Because for me, right, it actually benefits me in terms of I'm a car enthusiast. Everything about me is relating to cars, so to buy a very good car is actually worth it. And for me, if I were to pay for a cheaper price for a car that I don't like, right, I wouldn't feel like paying for the installment. I wouldn't work hard for it. So sometimes if you buy expensive car, right, it makes you work much harder for it to pay off the installments and everything for the car. But in return, you get to experience this car, which looks very good, nice to drive, the technology, you get to enjoy all these kind of things, which makes you look forward to pushing harder beyond its limits to go for a much better car in the future. All right, I hope that actually makes sense to you guys. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, please remember to like, subscribe and share with friends, and a huge thanks to your continuous support, because you guys who actually watch my channel, you guys who comment, who engaged, I'm really grateful for that. All right, so I shall catch you guys next time. Ciao.